So does nobody win?
Nobody wins.
I had 2 out of 3 right. I'm just
No
saying.
stickers will be handed
That's 5
out
out of
today.
6
No.
right.
Nobody wins.
Nobody wins. All right, game number 1 in this lower bracket series is Diabolus versus Coffin Dance.
I mean, this is looking explosive so far for Coffin Dance. Mercy just hovering on 10% HP. Clyde gets wind shared. Vitality Conduit drops double Mortal Coil to try and stabilize here. Clyde's got Avenging Wrath. Is Coffin Dance going to retreat during the Avenging Wrath? And Spite actually played here by Diabolus, and they're using it defensively too. So stealing that defensive Spite strategy, protecting the Warlock. Is it going to be enough here? Touch of Death about to go off. Not finding enough damage though. Rezus ducking around the corner here for a moment. Lontar pulls in. That Crucible of Flame really good at healing as well, in case Lontar isn't able to deal with the interrupts. Mercy, Demonic Gateway out into midfield while Lontar's feared, so Tren and Rezu's not going to chase. Play back the pillar, hold out, wait for Lontar to get out of crowd control as things even out.
Yeah, and we're going to see now Trent pushing forward, looking for some damage here. Let's see what they can get set up. But Lontar gets clipped by the rep here from Clyde, and now Clyde gets reversed on that Repentance. Jamie going out with the Lightning Lasso here onto Trent. Mercy's looking for some fears. He gets one onto Lontar. Where is the damage? Shadow Fury coming out, and things from beyond are spawning here. Trent's going to use that cloak to remove that thing from beyond. And Rezus is going to duck behind the pillar here. And it looks like the Diabolus, they picked a pretty decent matchup so far. Very durable players on their roster here. Now another push onto Mercy. Jamie's playing those Traveling Storms similarly to Zeepai, using that onto Mercy to knock people back. And once again, Mercy in a defensive spike, just looking to survive here. And I'm not sure what the Diabolus game plan is though. I see, okay, this is how you're going to survive, but how are you going to kill somebody? Let's see. Oh, they're okay. So they want to go for hexes onto Lontar, but here Rezus did stop it, and Lontar is actually faked out on his shear, so he does get fully hexed out. And now they're going to go after Tren. He did pre-blur though, so I don't think he's going to be taking too much damage. And I don't know. I'm not sure what the win condition is on the side of Diabolus. I think just crowd control Lontar for a really long time, but I think it's hard to do against Coffin Dance.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy one. They've definitely set themselves up with a tanky composition, which I think is the main thing here. They've got a comp that, you know, isn't going to be so susceptible to the Drestigath trinkets. They've got a lot of armor on that Warlock, a lot of armor on that Shaman compared to the Mage. Mercy's taking a fair bit of damage right now, but Clyde with the Avenging Wrath should be able to stabilize him. It's really going to come down to the crowd control. If they can get the Hexes, the Repentance, you can see that they've set up their characters in a way that they will have long crowd control chains on Lontar. But I agree with you, Zuko. I think killing with the Elemental and the Warlock is a lot harder than if you kind of threw the Fire Mage with the Combustion and the Devastation into that mix. So Diabolus, they've got a tanky composition, but in Deep Dampening, is it going to be enough? That's the real question.
Well, you also lose out on the double D curse. Jamie's going to be sitting hexes if Lontar can find these. Defensive Spite against on Mercy. Are they just going to keep pushing through? Clyde actually trinkets out of the crowd control. Lontar's in position for a wind shear. Nice interrupt. They're trying to take out Mercy here. Dropping the Dressed. Vitality Conduit activates though, and fortunately for the Paladin class, if you're interrupted on Holy, you can still access that Vitality Conduit, but Mercy still didn't feel comfortable. He used the Unending Resolve, likely respecting the Drestigath attempt. Another defensive Gladiator Spite, that purple circle. Mercy wants to stay in that, and Tren and Rezus don't, so Mercy's playing around the circle. He's avoiding Rezus quite easily with it. It's an interesting tactic. It's really one that we've only started to see utilized in this finale moment of the entire year, but is it actually going to work? I feel like it's likely not to. Diabolus are falling apart defensively. This could be a Divine Shield for Clyde. Paralyzed, no Capacitator Totem. Lontar's moving forward, trying to not get hexed, but doesn't have anything to stop it. Full Hex Lightning Lasso. Nice punish by Jamie. Seduce onto Tren off to the side. Fear for follow-up. Is it going to be a bop on the Karma? No bop on the Karma just yet. Lontar still in crowd control. Rezus retreats. Looks like he's recovering. They swap over to Tren, but Tren's in Metamorphosis. He heals a lot with that Leech healing. He's full HP. Totally fine. Coffin Dance make it through that crowd control really excellently. Defensive Spite again onto Mercy, but he gets knocked away from it. Vitality Conduit preemptive by Clyde onto Mercy before they imprison. Big Divine Favor. Mercy's back to full health. Nice reactions by Clyde here so far. Mana, though, not looking amazing on that Holy Paladin, which is a bit surprising.
Yeah, and we're going to see a big push here. Stun onto Clyde, stun onto Mercy. Mercy going to trinket out of that one. Get paralyzed here. Rezus still looking for some damage with that Touch of Death here, and he's going to get coiled right now. Touch of Death's going to be up in a few more seconds. Could make a big push with it. Clyde has no more trinket, but I don't know if they have any crowd control. Rezus needs to be extremely careful. Activates the diffuse magic. He really wants to go for that Touch of Death play here before they get the trinket. Lontar in a Hammer of Justice. Jamie potentially setting up for a Hex here. Doesn't have it just yet. Tren is there backing up Lontar with the reverse magic. I would have liked to see a Hex there instead of the Repentance.
Ooh.
Mercy taking so much damage. Clyde trades out the sacrifice with his trinket right there, keeping Mercy in the fight here, but still very nice pressure so far from Coffin Dance.
Yeah, we were talking about crowd control. Tren actually let that Repentance go through so that he could reverse it and force the trinket sack on Clyde. So really, really high IQ plays coming in from Tren. Easily, I think the reaction would have been to just deny the crowd control, but instead using his opponent's strength to his advantage. And now they've forced out yet another crucial cooldown. Mercy is the person that they're trying to kill in this matchup. And so far, honestly, it's looking pretty good for them. Clyde on the Holy Paladin. Typically, you'd see him at full mana at this point in the game, but he's already starting to dwindle just a little bit. And that's obviously a bad sign for him as the dampening does start to stack up now. 6% healing reduction as the game's going to really start picking up in pace between these two teams.
War Stomp Repentance by Clyde there. Jamie and Clyde are both playing Tauren. They get some extra crit healing and crit damage and access to that War Stomp, so it's a bit interesting. Mercy's in trouble though. Double interrupt engaged here by Coffin. It's triple War Stomp by Jamie to try and stabilize while his teammates were locked down. Really trying to utilize that Tauren racial. Blessing and Protection active. They purge it off immediately. They've killed off Mercy's Succubus. He's got no extra crowd control. Goes for a double Shadow Fury. He's still trying to resurrect the Succubus. Demonic Gateway, but it's a Demon Hunter and a Windwalker. They're right back on target. Big dressing out. Huge Crucible of Flame. Jamie bombing in healing surges. The only reason Mercy is alive right now is Jamie. Those healing surges were clutch. Will it still even be enough? On any resolve wasn't enough to res the Succubus. Mercy still doesn't have a demon. Clyde is burning through cooldown so rapidly. As soon as that Avenging Wrath falls off, I don't think Mercy's going to be able to stay alive. He bombs in one big Divine Favor, but now Jamie was rotted down amidst all of that chaos. Clyde's Avenging Wrath still active, the only reason he's even able to heal, but now he's stunned up with no trinket. That could be it. Lava Bursts are flying in from Lontar. Sacrifice comes up, but Jamie is just dying. What is Jamie even dying to? Clyde's dying to redirected sack damage. The pressure from Coffin Dance is immense.
I can't believe Clyde had a sack into a sack, because that is the only reason why they are still alive right now here in game number one. But the push is not over. Reverse magic on the Hammer of Justice. Big damage coming out here with the Touch of Death of Rezus. Big chunk of damage.
Ooh.
Mercy, I don't think you're going to have another sacrifice right there. He is going to get flopped by Coffin Dance.
All right, game number one victory for Coffin Dance, Adrian.
Who is this team? Where do they come from? Where were they last game? I mean, that Warlock should not be dying that early in the game. They are absolutely brutalizing Mercy the entire time, putting me into the grave. I just can't believe it. I really can't believe how much pressure they had in that game. That was beautiful. Such well played.
Did it look kind of one-sided on the side of Coffin Dance?
Yeah, it definitely look kind of one-sided. I mean, look right now on your screen.
Did we
see
expect
Lontar.
that?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I kind of, yeah.
Go
Don't
ahead,
look in
go
a
ahead,
Warlock. Don't look in a Warlock into Coffin Dance, because this is what happens when they face Mage Lock as well. They just delete Warlocks. And I mean, if you look at Coffin Dance's defensive cooldowns, like Lontar had Trinket, Spirit Link, pretty much the whole game. Didn't really have to use too much, like aside from like Ascendance, rotating Rezus defensive. So I think Coffin Dance were never really in a situation where, okay, they don't have anything. Next setup, somebody's going down. They were never really in that situation. And I feel like they had multiple situations actually where somebody was going down on the opposite team.
And was it on the side of Diabolus? Was it the comp, or what exactly was the downfall there, Subtees?
Coffin Dance downfall or Diabolus' downfall? I mean, it's just Paladin Warlock seems like it's pretty tough. So I actually think maybe Clyde even switching and they just copy Wildcard Gaming might be their best option. Magelock could work on the biggest maps, but on the smaller maps, I don't think it's going to work for them into Coffin Dance. Coffin Dance are looking ready to just fight against the meta, fight against the mainstream, and kind of take it to the competition here. And if they manage to pull it together and play this strongly into the rest of the tournament, if they were to win this series, then I think they still remain a pretty big threat for the remaining teams as well. So Coffin Dance has been like a reignition of their engines. They were starting off a little bit slow, puttering, kind of making some mistakes, but now in this lower bracket, they're ready to go.
I mean, do we feel like if they can pull off a win here for this series, that we could potentially see these guys, in the grand finals, healing stat?
I mean, it's very possible. I do think that the two top teams that we got, the top dogs in Europe, XZ and Wildcard Gaming, are going to be everyone's going to say they're the favorites in Europe, right? But Coffin Dance, they've been at Wildcard. They were so close against Wildcard Gaming. Like 3-1 did not do that series justice. The last games were all ultra close, and then you've got like a sea of Mistweavers and Holy Paladins kind of dominating in a lot of these tournaments. But then you've got some of these players like Lontar, I think he's El Toro on live, the Bull coming in on this Restoration Charm and not caring about what's going on in the meta. He's just destroying these teams, and it's great to see. That's why I'm such a big fan of them. And Diabolus, they've certainly got their work cut out in this series.
Yeah, and it sounds like last time these teams played against each other, Coffin Dance won 3-0, so maybe Diabolus here is going to struggle a little bit more than what we expected them to. We're going to be going to Ashamane's Fall, Coffin Dance locking in that same composition, not much of a surprise there. Diabolus here, that is the big question. What are they planning, Zico?
Ellie, Mage, Holy Paladin, which is what they should have picked, because then I would have had a sticker. Now they had to find that out the hard way, and I lost my sticker. So, I mean, whatever. Do you, Diablos? But Ashamane's... Sorry, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No.
The sticker's a big deal to me,
Wait, were you trying to say Ashamane's is the map for a sticker?
What? No, not at all.
Okay.
No, I was just saying Ashamane's is a good map for them to set up for some wizard comps. So I think that's what we're likely to see. I think, for me, the biggest question isn't really what the is going to play, it's what healer they're going to play. Because I feel like Clyde looks more comfortable on a Holy Pala, but I don't know. Mistweaver looked pretty good with the Song of Chi-Ji and the Paralyzed setups that the Wildcard was using. So I'm not sure. I think Clyde goes H-Pal for comfort, and then they go Mage Ellie.
But you think that, like, meta-wise, Mistweaver would be better here on this matchup?
I'm not even sure if that's the case, but I know that Looney is insane at, every single healer, and he chose to play the Mistweaver over the Paladin, so it's got to say something.
All right, well, it looks like Clyde will be sticking with that Holy Paladin on Diabolus. Or for Diabolus, we are going to Ashamane's Fall here. Coffin Dance winning that last game here. Diabolus needs to tie it up going into Ashamane's. What do we want to see? Now we can see their composition here in Healing Stab. What do we want to see them do in terms of setup and positioning?
I mean, they need to have this consistent crowd control that they've been finding on Lontar. That seems to be the way they want to win the game. They're going to get crowd control on the healer and try force the DPS back and buy themselves some breathing room. Because, of course, we do know the strength of the Holy Paladin is that Ineffable Truth build, right? So if they can just kind of force the melees back on Coffin Dance and rotate through the Sacrifice, the Divine Shield, all these big cooldowns that the Paladin does have available, then they should have answers for Coffin Dance. But, I mean, I think Zico called it out perfectly in the last game. It's like, it's all well and true. You can kind of go to the paper and say, okay, theoretically, we survive this, we rotate through all their drests, and we're going to survive. But there's a big important factor there, which is how do you kill these guys? Like, they're super mobile, they have so many defensive cooldowns, and they're just rotating perfectly. I mean, if they overlap, sure. But Coffin Dance, I think they've got this if they can just kind of play the perfect game as they have been doing.
All right, well, we'll see if they can continue to do that. Coffin Dance up 1-0 against Diabolus here in game number 2.
Kind of think swapping to Lontar on a big map like this, when you bait Rezus and Trend across and Lontar has to follow, I think swapping to the Restoration Shaman might be an option, but the stationary nature of the Warlock's going to make this tough. They're still running the Succubus, so they want to look for triple crowd control, Seduce one target, Lightning Lasso one target, Hammer of Justice the other. Let's see if they can engage that triple stun lock. It is an effective strategy for killing classes like Windwalker and Demon Hunter, but Mercy gets engaged on. He tries to pre-gate the stun, but he just explodes right off the get-go. That's a Sacrifice, Skyre's Medallion, Avenging Wrath, Unending Resolve. Let me just read the remainder of the spell book. Diabolus try and desperately turn it around here with a double Infernal Repentance, but Trent could duck over with a reverse. He's stuck in a coil for one more second. Is he going to explode in the coil? Big Earthshock hit from Jamie. Stormkeeper follow-up. Big Lava Burst. Managing to wrap around the corner. He does overlap the reverse on Trent. Not sure if it was necessary 100% with his blur, but he stays alive nonetheless, and now Coffin Dance look to get aggressive.
So Clyde, Trinket sacrificed there, and Mercy used his unending resolve right after. So defensive overlap already coming out from Diabolus. The next imprisonment is going to be big, but Lontar right now in a hex, Trent in a lot of trouble. Going to Trinket, drop the darkness. Fair trade. Clyde looking to line up the repentance to follow up as well. It's going to force Trent to duck for cover even further, and Rez is now using his karma there in that exchange. Now Lontar still in CC here. Trent is still getting a little bit blasted by Jamie, but Lontar is right there with him. And now here comes the big setup. Clyde, what are you going to do? He has to preemptively bop this setup somehow, otherwise it is going to be a bubble potentially. And there it is, imprisonment coming in, a preemptive vitality conduit. That definitely works as well. Well done there by Clyde. He's going to be able to survive that big one-shot attempt without actually having to trade out any cooldowns, buying himself more time for N'Zoth's blessing to come through and give him that sacrifice back. Mercy still on the back foot, taking a lot of damage, and Trend now getting reversed on here with that lightning lasso. And I think for the team of Diabolus, their main win condition has got to be to find the hexes onto Lontar, because the repentance does get reversed, but the hex cannot be reversed since it's a curse. So I think if they can somehow land that with a lightning lasso, maybe they can kill somebody. But right now, still looking like Coffin Dance show.
I will say one thing that I do like about the strategy coming in from Diabolus is the way that they're using their spites. It's such a European strategy. They find this super devastating, aggressive trinket, and they find a way to turn it into a defensive tool. And they've just rotated those perfectly on Mercy. It makes it super awkward for Rezus and Tren. Seen a couple of things from Beyonds coming through, and it makes them think twice about their positioning during these Drestagev pushes. So you can see Drestagev come through, they get the Hand of Sacrifice, and there's immediately a spite there. That's going to be one thing from Beyond over onto Rezus. And that is a nice adaptation, I think, coming in from Diabolus. It makes it harder for Coffin Dance, and they already have so much to think about with the threat from Jamie and Mercy.
All right, let's see. Can Diabolus execute here? The Quick Gliders Medallion not available for 6 seconds on Tren, but I don't think they're going to squeeze through that opening. 2 more seconds. Double Mortal Coil doesn't land. Lontar gets the Dispel on one, but he gets caught in a Hex. That could be an opportunity. Standing on top of Tren, hoping to get AoE'd out with some damage here, but no AoE. Lontar repositions to the back of the room. Jamie's got Sky Fury down. Big Lightning Lava Burst combos here on the Tren. He blurs it, soaks the hit, but gets Lightning Lassoed in a Gladiator Spite. Thing from Beyond spawns. Tren trinkets, but he's already used Blur. He needs to get in range for reverse. He's just waddling over, so slowed up. Does get the reverse. Manages to survive the assault. Now leading the charge over onto Mercy. They need crowd control on Clyde here during his Avenging Wrath. They want to be able to power down the Warlock. They just go for the Metamorphosis anyways. But still no crowd control utilized on the Clyde. He'll easily heal through this damage. Defensive Spite again on Mercy. Tren jumps over to stop Jamie's follow-up Hex. Beautiful imprison timing there on Jamie in terms of defense. Jamie looks for a War Stomp Hex. Lontar dodges it. Jamie fakes out the Wind Shear, goes for the Hex again and gets it. Nice punish by Jamie. Double Mortal Coil. Beautiful combo. Lightning Lasso. Repentance. Lontar line of sights it. Mercy gets paralyzed. He can't do any damage into the Lightning Lasso, and Tren's just easily going to be able to survive. Trying to get back on target. Jamie shuts down the I-Beam with an instant Wind Shear. Lontar at the pillar, line of sighting Jamie, trying to avoid the Hex as long as possible. Tren stuns up Clyde. Mercy gets stunned up by Rezus. Fist of Fury flying. Drestagev drops. Mercy gates back into midfield. Tren in pursuit. Clyde's Avenging Wrath comes up in 3. He drops a defensive Spite. Comes up in actually 8. His Ineffable Truth fading, but he does have Sacrifice coming up in 5 seconds as well. Diabolus are in a solid position to turn this around.
Ooh, nice preemptive bump there by Clyde, but no CC was actually committed to him. And now Rezus has a free touch of Karma. He's going to go ahead and immediately use that. And now they're looking to power up some damage, but again with the defensive spites here coming out of Diabolus, Clyde might get crowd control here. It looks like Trent was fishing for it there for a second, but I don't think they have enough damage just yet. They're waiting for maybe the leg sweep of Rezus or something, trying to maybe get a few gushing procs so that they can have an extra hit in their go. Lontar goes in and tanks a Fear. He had pretty much Wind Shear, everything really for that, and now he's going to get Hammer of Justice. Tren in massive trouble. He's in a Spite with a Lightning Lasso, and he's getting rooted in there as well. Lontar in a Seduce now. Lontar actually used his Trinket there in that exchange, but still more cooldowns coming out. Oh, nice knock there on the big Chaos Bolt there through the darkness, and we're going for the KO there, but still Tren manages to get back into the saving grace of that darkness and survive a little bit longer, but it's looking like they actually have decent pressure on the side of Diabolus. Clyde, again, preemptive Vitality Conduit there on the CC chain. But Mercy still taking a lot of damage here. Could be the sacrifice. If he gets kicked, could be the end. And it's going to be the fattest dress I've ever seen, taking down Mercy in one kick. Tran hits his team on the back.
Okay, that is going to be another victory for Coffin Dance. Now they're up 2-0 there. What exactly went down? Let's break that down, Zico. How did they win game number 2 on Ashmains?
Greed. Clyde should have pressed the sack. There's no reason not to use it right there. Like he went for a hard cast shield. Tran dashed over, used his kick. Then I don't know if he dashed back or backflipped back, but he made his way back and dressed at him. And that was through unending resolve as well. So that's got to be a fatty dressed crit.
Do we like the choice healing stat of? I mean, you were kind of talking about it a little bit during that game of Spite Trinket on the side of Diabolus.
I mean, I think it's fine. I don't think that's the problem. I think the matchup is the problem as much as anything. I mean, these guys, Tren and Rezus, as Zico said, you know, Tren's literally backflipping all over this team. Doesn't matter how big the map is. He's just so mobile. He's all over the place, and it's just it's so difficult for them to pin him down, get the kill. And I mean, I just want to see this kill again. We got the unending resolve, so 40% damage reduction, and Drastic F sends his regards right through that, absolutely obliterating us here. And I mean, these guys, I think these are a very momentum-based team, Coffin Dance. They definitely have their lows. I think we saw that during Circuit a little bit. We saw that, or especially during the Cups, actually, in the build-up to Circuit. But when they're feeling themselves and finding that game, I think this could be a scary prospect for the other teams in the competition too, because if these guys get a 3-0 here and they go into their next round like that, they are absolutely formidable. I am super terrified for their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, Coffin Dance is just playing so well during this series here. This is definitely going to look good for them in terms of momentum, like you said, healing stat, if they manage to pull this off. If they do a 3-0 against Diabolus, is that really where we expected this matchup to go, Supatias?
No. No, it wasn't. I mean, you can't really count Coffin Dance out, but at the same time, I've seen my fair share of Wizards in this expansion, so I thought Diabolus would be able to take this. Maybe close, but if they got 3-0'd, man, Coffin Dance have definitely leveled up to the competition. They've sort of shooken off the nerves, maybe, from their first round into wildcard gaming. And now on the lower side, they're like, all right, we can do this. Like, we're a solid unit, even though we're playing a composition that nobody else is. We're basically a one trick. I mean, Joe Fernandez is just going to be a bench warmer. I'm trying to even think of a situation where a warrior is going to be useful. Although I feel like Joe's one of those players who's probably earned the opportunity to be a bench warmer. Like, he's been on some teams where he has to carry like the whole time. So if there's a player who kind of deserves that spot every once in a while, it's probably Joe.
Is he like the snuts of Coffin Dance?
I'm thinking like way back in the day, like Fabio days, like with Joe kind of carrying his turbo. But nowadays, it's kind of tough to get a warrior to work.
Here's the thing about Joe. I think Coffin Dance, it's no secret, you know, like Tren was posting on Twitter that he went on vacation for 2 weeks. I think Rezus was having his moments where he didn't really feel like practicing. And Joe's work ethic is just insane. So he really is trying to rally the team and make sure that they are practicing, that they are trying new strats. So I think that's something that he's really brought to the table, even if we're not seeing him playing so much in these games. On the flip side, you got someone like Snuts, who really is kind of like the tactical in-game cooler, even when Cloud9's not playing. So I think these subs bring different things to the table. Obviously, in another meta, we'd see a lot more of Joe. But I mean, Coffin Dance, if they'd been a 3-person roster, I could have seen them like disbanding earlier in the season, because I swear there was a point where they just weren't playing much together at all. But they've brought it all back together. Clearly, they feel really good after Circuit, and it's all coming together now.
Oh, do we see this comp
What
choice
the?
from Diabolus?
Dude, you just kill Clyde, I swear. As Coffin Dance, you just kill the Paladin and ignore everything else. A Frost Mage and a Moon... Frost Mage and a Moonkin are not threatening enough. You just run at the Holy Paladin.
So
I think they have a lot of slows, though. There's no freedom.
What, ride the wind?
I guess they can go ride the wind.
This is, well, winter is coming from Gellu. I'm super happy that Gellu is coming in, because this is what I was also going to say. I am a firm believer that some of these rosters are kind of centered around one player and they come together because of one player. And Diabolus, for me, it was always Clyde and Gellu, right? Like, those guys were playing Rogue Mage with various different rogues. They had insane synergy. Gellu was basically the flagship for Fire Mage earlier in the expansion. He was the one person playing it, whilst everyone else was Frost. And I am super happy. I think if Diabolus hadn't brought in him, at least at one time in this elimination series, it would have been a real shame. So I'm happy he's going to be able to show himself and kind of fight for that opportunity to stay in this finals. Mercy on the Moonkin. I imagine I'm going to be unpopular with Sid if I say that I think this is a good pick. Fortunately, I'm not super enthused about this pick. I think the Warlock would be better, but the Warlock's been struggling. Moonkins are super tanky. If they're going for a deep dampening Wing Condition on Tolver, I could see it.
What do you guys think about the Moonkin pick?
I think it can get to dampening. I mean, Polymorph and Cyclone is just as good as Polymorph and Fear, if not better. The main problem is killing something, like actually being able to get in the game. Is Mercy going to play Gushing, like a bit of Gushing and a bit of Verse? I feel like he should. He's pretty durable if he plays Guardian Affinity. So I would like to see a mix, not just full Verse, but a lot of Moonkins like to just run like maxed Verse for Star Surge damage. The main problem is that Lontar's team have so many ways to deal with crowd control. As long as Rezus saves Tiger's Lust, he can revert or Tiger's Lust out of the Root Beam, which is a really important crowd control for Mercy. Trent has reverse magic, so basically Lontar just needs to play close to his teammates and stack up and just land interrupts on crowd control. And I think if they just tunnel the Paladin with Ride the Wind, maybe even Mage is fine. But I would like to see at some points going onto the Paladin, because a Frost Mage and a Moonkin I don't think are going to be threatening. This is the first time we're also seeing this comp from Diabolus the entire year. I think it's the first time we're seeing Moonkin Mage, period. I'm trying to think. It was Moonkin Ellie, right? So
yeah,
the last time I saw Moonkin Mage was Warlords of Draenor. I feel like it was really good at dampening back then, but it's a bit of a different time now. Demon Hunters are in the game, and Windwalkers as well. If anything, if this comp works for them, what I would like to see from Lontar's team is they switch Lontar onto a Mistweaver, a Gnome Mistweaver. Let's say this Frost Mage Moonkin works, and they blind lock it the next game. If Lontar has a Gnome Mistweaver, that's easily the hardest counter you could possibly bring to a Moonkin team. But still, even without that, I think it's going to be tough for Diabolus.
All right, game number 2 here. Coffin on match point versus Diabolus on Tolveron.
All right, Mercy on the Moonkin. Let's see what he can get done here. And once the gearing add-on updates, let's see what build he is running as well on that Moonkin. I really hope Coffins are running Maledicts. If they're planning on going on this Moonkin, it is a must-have train. Because they're going to need it if they want to take down Mercy. Right now, though, it looks like Coffins, they're just kind of chilling here at the pillars. They don't really want to go out. So we've talked about it a couple of times, but they're not really incentivized to push out and try to make something happen onto the Moonkin. And the casters aren't really incentivized to push in and get kind of...
Oh, no way, Mercy! No way! He's not. There's no way he's not. No way. Did he watch a Rex Troy video? There's no way he's doing that. He's actually doing that on match point. He's going to be eliminated if it doesn't work. He's playing Void Ritual.
Oh, he's playing Void Ritual.
He's praying that procs. He's going to press Incarn and kill somebody with 1 Star Surge.
So this is really interesting because there's actually a couple of Warlocks on US that do play this actively on the ladder, and they're around 3k, 3.1k. I know Featherfeet. I've played with him a bunch of times. He plays the Void Ritual, and he doesn't base his Dark Soul on anything other than that Void Ritual proc. Basically what it does is just gives you a ton of main stat. And I mean, this is the thing, right? Diabolus will be aware of that because with the 4th member, they're going to be tracking and they're going to be seeing what Mercy's running, and they are going to tunnel him into the ground. But the explosive potential of the Moonkin, this is going to be a great game.
But he's got no versatility. Oh, Clyde trades Sacrifice here. They could swap the Clyde with that redirected Sacrifice damage. That's a huge dot. Clyde recovers with the Avenging Wrath. Are they going to run for cover here? They really got to track that proc, the Void Ritual on Mercy. Get ready for it, because Mercy's immediately going to Incarn and dump 2 stars. Just Root Beam, triple crowd control. Beautiful setup here. There's the Incarn. Did Mercy get a proc? He's very fragile with no versatility. Ducking into bear form, Frenzied Regen, trying to recover. Clyde gets Wind Sheared. Coffin Dance appear confident to try and run down Mercy in this position, and it could be difficult for Clyde to heal through it for a sustained amount of time.
Let's see. Mercy is still ducking for cover. He still has his bark skin. Trend now activating the metamorphosis. Mercy with that blessing of freedom is just utilizing the map perfectly so far. Nice pre-vitality conduit, and Lontar is not running Crucible of Flame here, so he realizes that the win condition relies on a CC chain, and if he doesn't tank a big CC chain, they're probably gonna just be able to win. They have double Hex Dispel here as well. Rezu's getting polyed here in the middle of the setup, so that means they're not gonna have enough damage. And I gotta say, both of these metas are playing Insignia for more Versa and just proc damage. But I think it's a big mistake. I think having no Maledict into a Moonkin is it's not great. And now they're going after Gelu. They're just waiting for Mercy to potentially expose himself. Nice Solar Beam. Here we go. Mercy gets 1 Star Surge, gets 2 Star Surges, but Lontar just brushes it off easily. And he pre-Astral shifts here on the setup, on the Hammer of Justice. I don't think Lontar's going to die here from that damage. And that Rex Troy build, so far, not going to be netting any kills.
Yeah. One thing I do think about this composition coming out of Diabolus, and I do like it because we were basically the problem they're having. They play a bunch of casters. How did they kill this team? They haven't been killing Coffin downs. They lost 3-0 in circuit. They're 2-0 down now, so they have to try something. But I think Gelu, if he'd actually played a haste fire build or something, or maybe not haste, but a fire build for a bit more punch, they've kind of got 2 glass cannons there, and that can actually sometimes be really difficult as a melee cleave to stay out until Veron. You're tunneling one guy trying to force cooldowns, but you're also having to deal with 2 massive threats. Gelu on the Frost Mage, I mean, in dampening, he's going to be terrifying, but they have to get there. And that really is the gamble Diabolus are taking here. If they make it to dampening, Frost will have been the right pick. If they are struggling to survive, if Mercy's being burnt too early to a crisp on that chicken, that's going to be something that is a concern for me, at least, for Diabolus in the early game.
Oh, okay. They're 4.5 minutes in here. Clyde's mana isn't amazing. Mercy has Incarn. He's also running the World Vein Essence. He's gonna have so much damage. If the stars align, no pun intended, for Mercy on the Balance Druid, I mean, he's gonna absolutely erase somebody. But if they don't, it's never gonna work. They've tried to line up the stars here. They crowd control Mercy for a moment. Incarn's rolling. When's he going to combo it together? It was an Arcanic Pulsar Incarn. He was baiting cooldowns. He baits the Blur from Tren. Tren has no cooldown with that. This could be devastating for Tren in the near future if Mercy can stabilize. He looks pretty solid at the moment. Ride the win towards Clyde. I think they're realizing maybe just go after Clyde, although with Incarn available, that's pretty risky, especially the build that Mercy's running. So this is really dicey. Diabolus are banking this on this huge hit of damage. It's a really unexpected strategy, one that's not utilized by a lot of players, and I mean, it could work for them, but you're on match point. You face elimination. There's the Solar Beam. Where's the Incarn? They could go after Lontar. Trend's in a stun. Where's the Incarn? Mercy pops it. Trinkets out of the stun. Where are the Star Surges? 1 Star Surge, 2? Doesn't find any damage with that. Was he tickling him with some feathers? I mean, where is the damage? This is the Incarn. We expect it to be the heavy-hitting moment. They're not even going to dent Tren, and now Coffin are beginning to chase him down. I'd actually love to see them just go on Clyde after this Incarnation. There's no Icy Veins, there's no Incarnation, no threat. Just run at the Holy Paladin.
Yeah, I think Mercy actually didn't have Astral Power when he activated that Incarn. He had just dumped a Star Surge onto somebody when they got the CC, so he kind of went for it, but it didn't work out for him. Now, Gelu is going to be the target of choice here on that Frost Mage for a little bit longer. Mercy throwing out the Cyclones here, and Gelu is running a full Versa build, so I don't see Gelu being a target that you really want to go after. Blessing of Protection onto Gelu for that Touch of Death trade, so they're not going to be really forcing anything more out of that, but I think Rezus is kind of happy to take that, and now they're going to keep looking for Gelu here. I don't think going after a full Versa Frost Mage on Tolvir is the play, but let's see if it works out. They do get some CC here onto Clyde. They get a stun out of it as well. Big damage here onto Gelu. Actually forcing out an Ice Block there. Nice push there from Coffin Dance. And maybe if they can do it a couple of more times, they actually could take down the Frost Mage.
Yeah, potentially. I actually noticed also Gelu and Clyde both have to run. They have to run 1 Void Ritual just to get that increased proc on Mercy as well. So they are dropping a little bit of versatility for that. A similar amount that you drop if you were scared of spites or something like that, just the 1 amp. So that is something to consider for these teams. Gelu, of course, is still going to be a very durable target on that Frost Mage. with all the versatility, but we've seen Drestagaf kill through Unending Resolve today, so I'm willing to bet it can go through Gelu's Ice Barrier and all of that. So we have to see if Rezus and Tren can continue to get these connections, continue to force out these cooldowns. One thing that we do see Frost Mages do, I think is very smart, is you can see his pet is just chasing him. It's on passive, and that's to share any Drestagaf damage while they are tunneling Gelu. It could mean they have to resummon a couple of times, but it also should reduce the incoming burst.
Oh, big push here. Clyde trinket sacrifices. Clyde's caught up in a stun. They're swapping over to Mercy. Mercy ducks into bear farm, pops that frenzied regen. Gelu still hasn't fully recovered. Avenging Wrath not available. They stun up Lone Tar. They could swap to Lone Tar. I actually think Lone Tar should be the kill target, especially when he's out in midfield like this. If they catch him with a Hammer of Justice Incarnate, he definitely gets KO'd. Clyde gets wind sheared here. Lone Tar's playing aggressive. They're trying to push Gelu down into the ground. 7 seconds away from the Avenging Wrath. Paralyzed. Big twist again. Double combo. Coffin dance. Stay in it.
Wow, Tren is so animated in the moment of the kill. There's no way he dies. There's no way he dies. And look at him. I think he hurt his hand on his keyboard there. You see flashback to 2015. Coffin dance. Absolutely insane damage coming through. And, you know, that's the elimination series. Diabolus are out of it. Coffin dance are top 3 in Europe. Who would have thought that at the start of the circuit?
There it is. What an amazing series by Coffin Dance. 3-0 versus Diabolus. An incredible victory for them. They will be moving forward in the lower bracket, and this team is